Tired of that same old breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Same old tasting scrambled eggs, burger, that dinner steak, ribs, or pork chops. Why not add a little bit of spice or just a touch of heat to make the difference? Change that scrambled egg with a little bit of Johnny Fabulous's John Cena Sr.'s $1 Million Jalapeno Hot Sauce. Great on burgers, steaks, chops, and those barbecued ribs.
For years, we were known as Central Veterinary Associates, and we know that some of you were not exactly thrilled with the services that were provided.
But a new day has arrived. We're changing and will now be known as Premier Veterinary Medical Group.
But it's much more than a name change. It's a new management team, a new attitude, with a new state-of-the-art modern facility in Rockville Centre, New York.
We're going all out to provide the best possible care for your pets. And that includes 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week emergency care from a team of highly trained professional emergency care veterinarians.
So check out the all-new Premier Veterinary Medical Group. We're ready to serve Nassau and Queens counties with compassion, commitment, and the utmost confidence.
And we have immediate openings for overnight emergency vets with great pay and outstanding benefits. Contact us today at premierveterinarymedicalgroup.com/careers.
Daughter of Terry Bam Bam Gordy, Miranda Gordy.
Right. Wow.
Taking on the daughter of Tully Blanchard, Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
We've just announced those two. We've had actually a 3-way booked, and we've been just waiting for the official word and confirmation that NWA has given this lovely lady permission. We have the daughter of Baby Doll, Samantha Starr, is joining us for a 3-way fucking dance, second generation match.
Oof.
All 3 fathers worked and mothers, Baby Doll, and Baby Doll will be there as well that day at the convention. So, yeah, it's going to be a great fucking show.
Dude, Jimmy, I'm going to have to go to that one. That's freaking awesome there.
That match alone, I'm very intrigued about the booking on that one.
Right,
but
now,
I'm sure he's not going to reveal that.
Now I have to ask a question, and this is going to be a tough one.
I know this question.
Right? Well, it's going to be like kind of a 2-way, right? We all know what happened to Hogan at the Netflix debut, pretty much getting booed out of the arena, and Tessa Blanchard made her return to TNA to the chance of "you're a racist." Do you think?
Come on.
One, Hogan, according to Mark Henry, did not apologize, and Tessa Blanchard also should apologize to the fans. Again, I was not there. I never heard anything. To me, it's all hearsay anyway.
Sure.
What is your feeling? You feel that people should have to apologize to get in good graces of the fans?
It don't hurt. An apology would never hurt. A sincere apology would never hurt. Look, Hogan is one of the top 2 names all time of this business. I've had many feelings about Hogan for many years. I respect what he did for the business, but I've heard many nightmare things about the guy. I don't know if what happened was yay or nay, or true or false. I don't know. But you've made buku millions of dollars over the years. You're still doing it. You're trying to pawn off your new beer. Well, why can't you just say, I'm human, I fucked up, I'm sorry? I mean, is it really that hard? It's not. It's really not. So I don't understand that. And the same goes for Tessa. And here was my thing. When I presented this match to Joel, and I said to him, look, Tessa's got a lot of fucking heat. She's been pretty much blackballed from the United States. And this was 6 months ago when I presented this match to Joel. We've been in talks with Tessa for months, and we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And then she was like, look, I'm in contract negotiations. I can't say with who, but once it's finalized, I will make sure I am clear for this date to work for you guys, and we'll take it from there. So once she told us everything was good to go, we got it, I said, all right, we're good. Now, it happened the other night, like you said, the chance she's a racist. And I was asked on Facebook, somebody came to me and said, did you see what happened? You're probably going to get shit at the arena. And I said, look, it's going to, by the time it hits the arena in 4 months, it's going to die down some. I feel, and this was my opinion going into this, Tessa's human. I'm human. We're all fucking human. I make fucking mistakes every goddamn day. Okay? And I hope somebody, if I make a truly bad mistake, will give me a second chance, and I'll make sure not to make that mistake again. That's what I felt I was doing for Tessa. Because at that point, nobody in the U.S. was giving her a chance. So I was hoping, let me give her the chance in the United States on what I feel is a very high-profile show for 2025. Let me give her the chance to hopefully redeem herself. If she can take the ball and run with it and do good, that's great. If she fucks up afterwards, that's on her. I will give her the chance, that second chance.
I think she's worth every single second of it.
I think she's probably one of the, male or female.
Yep.
She might be one of the top 2 or 3 workers in the world right now.
She's great. She's absolutely great, and I think that was a great idea. But I will say this, as a wrestling fan, underline and circle that, please. Mm-hmm. Most respectfully, I do not relate to whatever you may feel about Hulk Hogan, and that doesn't mean you personally. That what I'm talking about is those thousands of people who call themselves wrestling fans, who don't realize that there is no Raw Netflix debut without a Hulk Hogan, who built WrestleMania, who built, then he does a heel turn and he rebuilds wrestling again because there's no Attitude Era without a bad guy Hogan to counter, because the NWO is kicking the shit out of Vince McMahon in the ratings. How many times has Hulk Hogan changed this business? And you said, when do you get a second chance? They say to forgive is divine. I saw no such divination that night towards Hulk Hogan. He hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't been busted for drugs. He said some bad things. I don't know. When does it become too long of an apology?
I think it's like this, Jimmy, to add on to it is, he who's out sin cast the first stone, right?
Well, that story. We all do.
Enough.
Yeah.
Listen, he made a mistake. He's made many mistakes, right?
Yes.
But we've all made many mistakes. So
just
it's
like Chubby said.
And you know what? That's the funny thing, because you have, they were in front of 15,000 people that night for Raw. All 15,000 people, or however many were booing, probably did way fucking worse than what Hogan did.
I'm gonna add on to it. Like, for example, Mark Henry, the minute that went down, went to TMZ and talked about how he asked Hogan to go to the black colleges and speak and talk to people about what he did to get forgiveness. But again, everybody also has an agenda, Chubby, too, right?
Of course.
So, again, not to make it a Tommy Dreamer thing, but his partner on Busted Open Radio, Tommy Dreamer, when he got shut down for saying, well, that's Ric Flair being Ric Flair, it's okay, puts his dick on some lady that's just having a good time. He didn't make Tommy Dreamer or ask Tommy Dreamer to go to battered women's shelters and ask him to make amends with them. So, again, agenda, if people truly cared what people said, I get it, but I always feel like there's an agenda, and that's the issue I have.
Of course. And when Tommy said that, it kind of sucks, because on one hand, what he said is fucking true.
Right.
You know, that's what you get with Ric Flair. Sad but true. That's what
Chubby,
you fucking get.
I wasn't offended by what he said,
No.
but people got offended. But my point is that Mark Henry is okay with talking about Hogan, but his own partner, his brother, who he does a show with, he doesn't hold that guy to the same fire as Hogan.
He should definitely
it
at least
work for him.
Yeah, he should definitely at least take it to task. I feel that Mark Henry picks on Hogan constantly because Hogan is a name. There's a lot of jealousy involved in the wrestling business. Let's be real about this, okay? Love or hate Hulk Hogan, he's got to be like the highest level of jealousy I've seen towards someone. Mike and I have interviewed hundreds of wrestlers, and every single one of them that we've had on that wrestled back during Hogan's time period liked the person and was glad to be on a card with him because it meant that they were going to make more money that night.
Paydays, exactly.
That's what we learned about Hulk Hogan. I personally
But you know what? How did they really, truly, personally feel about it? Not where it was affecting their wallet.
Right.
Well, because everybody, you know what? Chubby, you're right, bro. It's like, how did they really feel about him? They liked him at the time because they made him money. You know what?
Right.
Makes a lot of sense. By the way, I want to remind everybody, May 3rd, it's a big card. That three-way is hot, man. That is
How about this one?
Three-way.
We got the Memphis Mafia, Doug Gilbert, Tommy Rich, taking on Team Extreme. Shane Douglas and a mystery partner that Shane Douglas doesn't even know who his partner is.
What?
Wow.
How you like that one? And it's not me.
Who do you think that's going to be, Jimmy?
That's a quotient with a potion. Who the hell's that going to be? I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
I'm going to go with Rob Van Dam. I have a strange
feeling. Wow. That would be something. That would be something.
That's my
one of my all-time favorites. Real quick, Chubby, do you think that Vince plucked properly?
You're gonna open up the Vince can of worms now.
Well, from the
here we go.
From the ECW crop, Vince. Let's face it, he definitely propped and preferred Rob Van Dam.
Sure.
The Dudley Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm almost pressed right now to think of others, and there was a lot of great wrestlers that came out of ECW, but Vince really fell in love with those particular two, in my mind.
Austin, Foley.
Yeah, but he probably didn't look at them as that. He probably looked at them more as WCW guys.
I don't think he looked at Austin as a true ECW guy, but he had to look at Foley as one because Foley was in ECW for a while.
Yeah, I think that he might, had always paid more attention to WCW. That's just I think he had a friendship, obviously, with Paul. Something behind the scenes, all these years later still confuses me. It feels like Paul and Vince seem to be on the same page on a lot of things. Vince was slowly borrowing from what we saw at ECW. And the next thing you know, Paul's owning, selling it to him, and Paul's working for him. So I always wondered how that dynamic, became the way it did.
Will we ever truly know the truth behind that? Because
Well, you look at it logically.
I would love to know.
You look at it logically. Paul hated WCW. That's on record. He's not shy about saying that.
Sure.
So he must have always grown up, and I know he grew up. Mikey's from the island, for God's sakes. He had to grow up very impressed by the McMahons. He had to.
Well, listen, he just was on Logan Paul's show. He told some really interesting stories. Heyman is I got to get this last one in before we end the show. And Goodhart will be on next week, which I'm excited about. Hopefully, Chubby, you clear your schedule. You could double up and come back for a return on Monte and the Pharaoh, Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. But let me ask you, since Vince McMahon's name's brought back, I want you to send us out with your thoughts on Vince McMahon, the allegations, and how do you feel personally about the situation?
Since we're on Monte and the Pharaoh, and you guys want to know, I feel Vince. Let me explain it to you this way. 20-year-old Bay Ragney in wrestling school, and how are you supposed to think when your teacher talks to you? Like, I would go to classes Monday through Thursday night, 8 to 10. And usually one of those classes ended up being a talk session, talking about the business, learning about the business. How do you feel when you're told, if you go to do job matches for WWF at the time, you will most likely be propositioned by Pat Patterson or somebody else, you never know who, for sexual favors? If you want to do that, that's on you. But I'm warning you, it most likely will happen, so be prepared. So that always stuck in my head, and I said to myself, wait a minute. So we have this company. If I'm being told in a shitty, sweaty, ugly, nasty gym in Northeast Philly that's in a basement about what's going on in Titan Towers and Connecticut and wherever these shows are, you think fucking Vince don't know? Something's fucking wrong here. Okay? So if that's going on, Vince obviously knows what's going on, and Vince is allowing to go on. Well, then, as time goes on, then it starts coming out in the media, and then you're hearing about fucking ring boys and ring announcers. I mean, it just ran rampant. And here now, 30 years later, 35 years later, we're hearing Vince was paying millions of dollars to this one, millions of dollars to this one, millions of dollars to this one. Like, what the fuck was going on up there? So I say this. This has been my thoughts and feelings. Vince McMahon, the human being, is an absolute disgrace and piece of fucking shit. Vince McMahon, the businessman / promoter, is a fucking beast and knew how to do what he wanted to do to take over the world of professional wrestling. Two different fucking people, in my opinion. The person that took over the business and took over the world and gave us a World Wrestling Entertainment or World Wrestling Federation created that sick individual that allowed himself and his fucking cronies to God knows what to how many male or female people over the fucking years.
How do you feel about people that take money and then afterwards decide they want more money and go public like the recent
Fuck
thing?
You piece of shit. You're a bigger piece of shit than McMahon. How dare you?
Meaning the individual that did that.
You okay, fucking spread your legs and open your mouth and you take fucking millions of dollars and you're having a fucking ball and it's fine and dandy then. But then when the purse strings shut, you want to fucking cry wolf and go to court? Fuck you. You're a bigger piece of shit than the one paying.
So at the end of the day, while I can paint a picture in my mind as you talk about that dirty basement and those guys saying these things are going on, I have to ask you this, and if it pigeonholes you, I apologize in advance. Vince McMahon has been accused of a lot of things over the year, yet just like my partner and I point out week after week, year after year. Well, then how come Vince McMahon is never wound up in jail? Okay, at the end of the day. So to me, and why are people now, 35 years later, now they found the cojones? I hate to be Tony Soprano, but where'd you get your boss from all of a sudden? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that's been thrown out there about Vince McMahon. Exactly. I'll say this much: I agree with your analogy on Vince McMahon the person. I mean, Vince McMahon the businessman. But as far as Vince McMahon the person, I have no idea who Vince McMahon is.
You know what, Jimmy? Every time I try to end the show, because it's been an incredible show.
Well, it's Vince. You brought up Vince.
And you know what? But first of all, I got to say this, Chubby. Number one, you got a lot of balls the way you're answering stuff because you're a promoter now. And I know you got to be, in a good way.
In a good way.
Politically correct. Look, but we keep rolling. I got to get this in, and then you can say what you got.
Okay.
we have a lot of problems with a lot of people and agendas, but we always allow people to speak their piece, and you have done a wonderful job doing it. But now that Jimmy brought that up, I have another question for you, because there's another one that's sitting in my craw. Is a guy by the name of Mario Mancini.
Here we go.
Mancini was a jobber.
This is related. This is related to the subject.
I know the name, but I don't know the. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, he worked from 84 to 92. He did talent enhancement for WWF.
You know, he's most widely known now in the podcast circles as the bitch for Rita Charlton, the referee who made the accuses about Vince McMahon raping her, which Vince never went to jail for. Right. So my point again to you is this: if if your friend, a woman, comes up to you and says, Chubby,
working in the company,
right, or whatever, you're at your job,
you're working in the company,
and says, hey, Chubby, I just got raped, but please don't say anything. What are you doing?
I have a big fucking mouth, and I didn't always. I see that's a thing.
Well, why do you say that with, like, geez, I should. I mean, you're talking about exposing the truth. Perhaps there is no right. You're afraid about your position in the company.
I hate to say it. The fucking reality of it is, especially in a business like that, everybody's looking out at the end of the day for themselves. They have to fucking make sure they have their paycheck to take care of themselves, their families, etc. So you're going to have a lot of people, and this is not just fucking Vince McMahon land. This is every business in existence. Right. Any entertainment or not, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Could be a fucking gas station on your corner of your street.
So the main point, though, for us is
it's all about fucking money.
As interviewers, is it unfair for an interviewer, a wrestling fan like Mike and I are? Is it unfair for us to ask Mario Mancini, why didn't you say something? Why is that so absurd? You can just say what you just said.
No. You know what? Here's why. Because I've done these interviews, again, 12, 13 years. Did you guys interview him? And you asked him that question?
We did in the past, but now he's recently been coming out on his own channel, correct, Mike?
He's on multiple podcasts. And,
right.
Is he getting fucking paid to go on podcast?
I would imagine he is.
I would think, yeah. So all of a sudden now it's like, let's go public about this. So we ask legitimately, well,
let me fucking collect a payday, or let me go on my own podcast and fucking boost my numbers.
And make the dirt
talk.
Sheets. And
Get
make
the
the
fuck
dirt
out of
sheets.
here.
Right. Well, that's the vibe.
This is what gives me. Are you guys Italian? You're from Long Island.
Mike's Italian. I'm Irish. I'm close in a way.
I'm Italian from fucking South Philly. Gives me fucking agita. You know what I mean? Like these fucking jabronis, motherfuckers.
Like I can't fucking join in on this fucking conversation.
Join in. Come on.
Yeah, you know what I mean? All right, Mike. Let me tell you about my guma. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Next week, we've got Joel Goodhart on. Chubby, you are incredible. Great conversations from Motley Crue to Chris Benoit to Vince McMahon.
You guys have been so much fun. I got to say this. You guys have been so much fun. You had me all fucking fired up. And I don't want to come on and overstep Joel's bounds next week. Let Joel have his piece.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, with that, this has been Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and Pharaoh. Jimmy, you want to send us out?
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh with the legendary ECW zone, Chubby Dudley. And until next time, later.